Let's get it.
This is the Ask Me a Question podcast.
Where no question is left off the table.
You might not like the answers to the questions we give.
But if you ask me a question, I'm going to keep the same energy. Britt, what's Gucci?
What's up? Happy to be here today.
Absolutely.
You're going to let me go first tonight?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went first last time, so I'm still keeping score.
Okay.
Ask Me a Question podcast. Let's get to it. Let's get to the shits.
All right. So, on this week's State of the Culture, Remy Ma Joe Budden and Ebony Williams debated certain people's use of the N-word. They basically said that for someone like Fat Joe, bless you, it was okay for him to use the N-word because he's such a staple in the culture. He's a rapper, and he grew up in the South Bronx all his life around majority of black people. So they felt that for someone like him, it was justified. But when it came to J-Lo, they felt like she has no right. She uses the black card or Afro-Latina when she feels like it. She has that. It's that line of crossover of white market. She does the American Idol, the movies where it's nothing Latina in it. But at the same token, she does Selena, and she's done collabs with hip hop artists. So there's a fine line with J-Lo. So they were debating who can use the N-word on the show. And this is not just on their show. This is such a issue in hip hop.
This is in everybody's
our
lives.
Culture in general. Everyone, every day you can walk down the street and hear people having this exact argument. Who can use the N-word amongst themselves as far as color. So people feel so strongly about this topic. It's interesting that they talked about it.
At the end of the day, the one thing I got from that, the first thing I got from that is what you get from any situation when it comes to people even having a conversation of who could use the N-word, something that's in the beginning deemed offensive, but we made it a badge of honor. Yeah. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, Remy Ma, Joe Budden, the whole panel at the State of the Culture, they're no different than anybody in any neighborhood, meaning that people allow who they feel comfortable with to use the N-word.
Right.
Whether white, black, Spanish, white Spanish.
That's very true. Because think about it. If
people
you grew up with somebody from the cradle, like let's say you're an African American black kid. Let's say you grew up with your buddy. I'm calling him your buddy. Your buddy, a little white kid. And you grew up with him from the cradle.
Right.
And he grew up with you literally. Maybe he was over your house every day. Your family basically raised him or whatever the case may be. You may find it okay for him to use that word because you know him. You know his intentions. You know he's not racist. So around you, he may drop that word all the time.
Right.
But go around a group of people and it's like,
yeah,
who's the little white boy using that?
They're not having it.
So that's a good point that you make. I think that when it comes to this issue, people, based on who they know and how closely they know a person, it's who they allow to use the N-word. Right. It's not really about skin color.
Right.
Because if you feel comfortable with somebody and they're of a different race, you're going to be okay with them saying anything.
But at the same time, it's like, I know plenty of white boys, Indian, Spanish, that grew up, in the trenches, and they don't use it. Not because they can't, but they just don't. At the end of the day, they find other, my G or whatever the case is. You're not in New York, but then there's those that do use it, and it just is what it is, depending on what the environment is. Everybody has their take on it, but at the end of the day, no matter how anybody explains it, Fat Joe could do this. This person could do that. It's who people are comfortable with is who they allow to do it.
Right, exactly.
And then after that, it becomes, no, you're a guest, you're a this, you're a that. And then,
So do you agree? Like, you think like Fat Joe is somebody who should be allowed to say that?
Well, I grew up around Spanish people that say,
they identify as black, or Afro-Latina.
Right. That are mixed, Spanish and black. So,
and I got a little bit of both in me too. So, okay. But I don't use the word Afro-Latina, but I have a little bit of both, like, in me too. So it's like
I can't knock Joe Crack because I understand his background. You know what I'm saying? So
just because, again, he grew up around these people,
and
it's okay.
And you got family in the Bronx, I got family in the Bronx. I know what that mix and mingle is about.
That atmosphere is like, of course.
I know what that's about out there. So
everybody says that.
I understand that, but I think it people make, as of recently, making a big deal with what people deem Spanish people saying nigga more than white people these days. That's crazy to me.
Really? You think so?
Yeah,
you think it's been that way?
Yeah, because, you know, there's plenty of white people that done grew up in the trenches that, you know, use it, that get a pass. And then there's those that don't. People that don't accept it. They feel like, yo, you're forcing it.
If you're tuning to the live, what do you think? Like, do you think it's okay for all races or certain races shouldn't be saying that? Do you think it's okay for J-Lo to use the N-word? What do you think? Let us know.
But the J-Lo thing to me is always interesting, too, because what that comes back to me is whether it's J-Lo or anybody of that circumstance, whether it's somebody that's black, I think that when you make it, they say that you forget where you came from. When you do too much of the stuff that reminds you of where you came from, they say, well, you ain't got no range. That's all you could do. Like, where's your versatility? Then you go versatile, then they say that what about
you crossed over?
You win. You can't win for losing.
Right. Somebody's always going to be unhappy.
Somebody's going to always be unhappy, regardless of how you slice and dice it. When you make it, and you're from certain circumstances, regardless, people are. It's not that people are never satisfied, but they're only satisfied when you appease what they like from you. 50 being a troll. Sometimes people be like, "Oh, you got too much money for it," but 50 has been a villain, gangster rapper, so it's still like what people enjoy from him.
Of
they
course,
understand
that's what they want to see. They want to see that side of him. That's who he is
exactly
in their eyes every day. But so yeah, those are the hot topics.